Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. If you're a regular on the channel, I'm sure you have heard me talk previously about the price to specification ratio. It's a big thing for me, and it's a big thing especially I think at the sub $500 end of the market, where the vast majority of the pieces that I concentrate on are located. If you set brand to one side, it is really all about finding the set of specs that you're looking for in a watch at the best possible price. Now, I've been playing a little game with myself for some time now. There's a few different sets of parameters, a few different sets of specifications that I have been looking for at the keenest price possible. One of which is a dive watch. So a dive watch, 200 meters or more water resistance with a screw down crown therefore, unidirectional rotating dive time bezel, sapphire crystal, all stainless steel construction including a bracelet preferably with solid end links and a milled clasp, and I'm looking for, on top of all of that, the Seiko NH35 hacking and hand winding movement, ultra reliable. What price am I looking for that lot for? Well, ideally $200 or less. Now, the closest I had got previously to this was one of those 6105 homages by Sharky and so on. They come in at about $240 featuring a non-fitted end link engineer strap. However, I think I have just found the holy grail of under $200 dive watches. This one by Neymar. It features everything that I've just discussed for $159. Let's flip the camera and get a good look at it. Now, I know I said in the intro, leaving brand to one side, but let's talk about the brand for a moment. This is the fourth Neymar that I have looked at. Each one of them has offered outstanding value for money, but each one of them in the comments section, the brand name has been ripped to shreds. Have Neymar shot themselves in the foot by associating themselves intentionally or otherwise with a floppy-haired, overpriced, play-acting Brazilian footballer? I mean, I guess when you're thinking about branding your company, you're going to do a Google search, and when that guy's the first thing that pops up, you've got a decision to make. Have they made the wrong decision? Would they be better scrapping the Neymar moniker altogether and calling themselves something generic like, Zelos, Delta, Beta, Gamma, whatever? Would you be more inclined to buy one of their watches if it didn't have the association with the footballer? Leave me a comment. Anyway, let's get into the watch and let's talk about the price. These are currently on Amazon at $159, and as you can see there are a whole bunch of different colorways. There's blue dials, black dials, there's a green bezel, red bezel. I chose the black dial gilt hand model here. I think it looks pretty classy. There's also a number of two-tone models. Now, this is clearly a Tudor Black Bay homage, and you're saving, what's that, $4,000 by opting for the Neymar over the Black Bay. Clearly then, this one is for those that can't quite stretch to or don't want to stretch to. I should have Black Bay but still want the look and feel of that watch on the wrist. And yet, Neymar just can't help themselves. The last three that I looked at have all been Rolex homages, and even when they're making an out-and-out Tudor homage, they still have to include some Rolex design cues. We've got the Mercedes hands there, and we have got the big Arabics at the 6 and the 9, just like a Rolex Explorer. They just can't help themselves. So 41.5 millimeters in diameter. This one is 15 mil thick, just over 50 mil lug tip to lug tip, 22 millimeter lug width, and sized up for my 7-inch wrist, this one weighs in at about 185 grams, so you certainly know that you're wearing a watch. It's got that big and chunky wrist presence, very much like the Black Bay upon which it is supposedly based. Now, 316L stainless steel crown, case, bezel, and bracelet. We have got a very nice, I think, piece of domed sapphire crystal. Not sure if it's a single dome or a double dome, but you get plenty of distortion, and I'm a sucker for a bit of distortion. I think it definitely goes with the kind of vintage tones of this gilt model. Now, this watch has 300 meters of water resistance, helped in part by the screw down crown. They've even done a decent job of mimicking the Tudor crown look, unguarded and with a little bit of a protrusion there, mimicking the crown tube that Tudor use. This has a 120 click unidirectional rotating dive time bezel. Now perhaps you noticed it's not the thickest bezel in the world, so coin edge, you can still get a bit of a grip on it. I think it helps to bring down the dimensions, but my goodness, it is a robust bezel action. No backplay there, really firm, very positive and direct action. Could have been doing with a millimetre extra thickness, but because of that coin edge, it's still relatively easy to operate. Finishing on the case is consistent, if not exactly luxurious. You've got nice horizontal brushing on the side, little bit of a chamfered edge and a nice bit of brushing on the lug. Again, kind of slab-sided, very much mimicking the case of the original Tudor Black Bay. And I do like the fact that they've got the Neymar logo, the big N there on the screw-down crown. A couple of different tones to the crown, very nice. And there's even a helium escape valve on the other side. Bracelet is a classic Oyster 3 link, solid links, push pins, nice smooth and consistent brushing there. Now we've got the Neymar logo again on the fold over clasp, so they're kind of double security with pushers. It is only a press clasp though, so perhaps I haven't found the ultimate Grail specs. It would have a milled clasp if it did, so that's the only neg on my list from this one in terms of its raw specifications. And popping a link in the Oyster to show what is a very simple and plain screw-down case back, just advertising sapphire crystal, 300 meters, water resistance, and the automatic movement, solid end links, please take note. So the movement in question, as noted, was the Seiko NH35. There's a strong argument that this is all the movement that anyone actually needs in a watch. 42-hour power reserve, 24 joules, hacks hand winds. Now it's a 3K movement, so 21,600 vibrations per hour, 6 ticks per second, but they're robust, they're reliable, and they're accurate. This one coming in 9.3 to the plus, single digits over a couple of weeks in the boxy winders. Pretty consistent, these Seikos. I've not had a duffer yet, and I've had a few of them, that's for sure. And there it is, sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist, doing a fair impression of the Black Bay upon which it is based. Big, kind of tall, proud, plenty of wrist presence, slab-sided, and it's one of these watches with a protruding mid-link of the end link, so 50mm lug to lug, but it does wear quite large, but then again, so does the Tudor. I mean, it's not unfeasible or unmanageable, wears its weight fairly well because it is nicely spread across, but it is a top-heavy watch, again, like the Tudor. Nice black and gold aluminium insert to that bezel, and the domed sapphire crystal giving a little bit of distortion at the edges of the viewing angle. Nice vintage styling. Or if you want to get it off the bracelet and take the weight closer to 100 grams, this one comes in at 115 grams. I think it looks pretty good on this kind of rust brown coloured 2-piece Zulu with brushed hardware. Or there's an army green canvas and calf. I probably wouldn't recommend putting this one on a NATO. It's 15mm thick anyway, and it is a bit top heavy, so it's going to bobble around. I'd be going for something like this if I was swapping it away from the bracelet. And there it is, glinting away in the Sydney sunshine. I do like that distortion. Nice handset on it as well. Not just a plain flat set of Mercedes. You do get a little beveled edge to the middle. And they've done the Arabics at 6 and 9 quite well also, I think. Kind of gilt, but plenty of surface area on them. The minute track around the outside is printed, as is the Neymar logo, but everything else on the dial is applied. Moans and niggles. Well, perhaps you've noticed the lack of lume video. There is the lume video. BGW 9, but not an awful lot of it, a little underwhelming. This watch does an awful lot for $159, and there are a couple of corners noticeably cut, the clasp being one and the lume being another. I think that C3 perhaps a better choice than BGW 9. Blue tends to be a little bit underwhelming unless the hands and indices are absolutely pumped full of it. And I suppose if you're going to do a Tudor homage, why not see it through to its conclusion with a set of snowflake hands? Why did they kind of confuse the design language by going mostly Tudor but then chucking in 10% of Rolex at the end of the design process? But as long as you don't mind the association with the floppy-haired Brazilian diver, this is one budget diver very much worthy of your consideration. It looks good on wrist and the specs are pretty outstanding. Bezel action remarkable at this price. So there you have it, the Neymar Tudor. Nil point for originality, but my God, what a set of specifications that watch has for not an awful lot of money. Very impressive indeed. Not that impressed by the lume, I admit, and I wish they'd spent an extra $10 and popped a mil clasp on there. But this is it. I found my holy grail spec to price ratio watch, divers under $200. I suspect it'll be a long time before I find one that matches the set of specs on this Neymar. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.